Today, we're basically turning Slay The Spire 2 into an Autobattler. Well, kind of. Thanks to this Ancients, our entire first turn will play itself. And by comboing Reap with Reaper Farm, we're dropping absurd levels of Doom. Alright, let's go see Neow and kick this run off. And they offered us up a Leafy Poultice, which transformed one of her strikes and one of her defense, but at the cost of 10 max HP. But I still took it. And so we got ourselves a Reap, a high damage, high cost card, and a rare card called Seance, which transforms a card into a soul, which is basically just draw a card for free. Not a bad start. And before I even take a step, I discovered something that absolutely blew my mind. You can draw on the map, like actually draw with a freaking pen. Why did nobody tell me this? So naturally, I use this to plan a route. And it looks like we're going to the left side. Dodged a few elites, because there's going to be some elites later on that I will be wanting to take on. Before we get into fights, let's talk about the new character. The Necrobinder comes with a little summon buddy called OT. Basically your undead pet who helps out in fights. He's adorable, he's useful, and he dies a lot. And while I really want to do a full OT build someday, today is not OT's day. Today is Reap day. And Reap immediately leads the first hallway fight. Just gone, crazy damage, and in the first card ward, I skip everything. Because I want to see if I can actually make this Reap card work. We hit a mystery event straight after that lets us remove a card, but also gives us a curse that removes itself after 5 combats. It was an easy choice of my eyes. Goodbye strike, hello curse. And our next stop is the shop, but with only 119 gold. We can't really afford anything meaningful. So we just remove another card, this time a defend. Balance is key. After the shop, we had to take on these Slimers in a hallway fight, who like to slick goo. And Reap just smashes once again. Again though, skipping that card reward, I like keeping the deck small at this point. We hit the campsite and upgraded Reap, which is now dealing 33 damage, making it even more awesomer. Is that even a real word? Crazy-tastic then? Now that it was upgraded, we headed into our first elite, and it goes, well, kind of. Reap deals insane damage, but we also take insane damage. And OT gets murdered multiple times, poor little fella. We walk out with 21 HP and some emotional damage too. But we also get ourselves a meal ticket, which heals us when we enter a shop for 15, and we got ourselves a card called Lethality, which deals 50% more damage on our first attack each turn. Anything that can make Reap go crazy is a win in my eyes. We head up another campsite, and instead of healing, I muster up the courage to upgrade Lethality. That means our first attack each turn now deals 75% more damage, which means Reap is now more insane. But I wasn't brave enough for another leap just yet, so I veered off to the left to fight a lizard bite. We reaped their soul, and moved on to the treasure room, where we grabbed a relic, and we got ourselves Akabeku, which gives us plus 8 damage on our first attack. Honestly, this is kind of lined up nicely with synergies. At the next campsite we rest, we needed it. And we stop at a shop once again. All we can afford is card removal. Shops right now are just a glorified trash bin for us, getting rid of our garbage. But then it was time for another lead. It's Bardonius, who gets stronger every single turn. And thankfully we have a potion called Beetlejuice. And hell no, I'm not saying that 2 more times. It shrinks Bardonius into a tiny bird. However, we still take 10 damage during this fight. But Reap now is dealing 57 damage, thanks to that power card. And we walk away with an absolute insane relic called Unceasing Top, which might not break the deck today, but check out the last video where it absolutely broke the reagents. But we skipped the card reward again, but honestly, we can really use some defenses at this point. We are taking a lot of damage. Next hollow fight is a stinky beetle and a furry mouth thingy. Definitely some weird creatures, but we destroy them easily.
No, I'm dead.
Our curse finally removes itself, leaving us with an 8 card deck, which is nuts. And then we see a rare card called Reaper Farm. Reap and Reaper Farm? It sounds thematically perfect, doesn't it? And I was determined to try and make this work. I might just be thrown at this point, but I would soon find out that I might be actually cooking. But definitely not in this next elite fight. We almost died. If we don't finish this guy off this round, we're dead. Holy moly. That was way too close for comfort. Because this elite puts many status cards into her deck and her tiny little deck hates that sort of crap. But also they summoned lots of little enemies too, and our deck really doesn't handle lots of many enemies. And with these problems combined, we just took so much damage, especially from these status cards and this little wormy beggar. And at this point I was thinking the run might be over, unless we find some sort of defense in our wards. At least with a relic we get a tiny bit of defense, and in our card wards can we get a defensive card? Yeah, this run might be doomed. Never mind, the run is saved. We had a campsite right before the Act 1 boss, where we can rest, heal, and we can breathe. But here's the truth, we only had 19 HP. And if Reap doesn't carry this next fight, the run ends. So can we survive this Act 1 boss with only this little of HP? Let's switch over to live commentary and find out. Now we'll Seance. Let's get rid of that strike. I kind of want to summon immediately. Unleash will be nice right now. But maybe we should bodyguard, build up OT a little bit. He's going to deal 18 damage. The first time reaches 150 HP, becomes stunned and loses all his strength. Well, it's time for lethality into 2 defense. Save our soul for now. Keep OT alive just a little bit. We're going to start stacking up incredible amounts of strength. I really want to reperform. Do we have the chance to reperform? I gotta try, right? Let's seance, get rid of a defense, and let's roll out. 150 HP, you're going to literally become stunned, lose all your strength. If you don't stun this turn, we actually end up losing. So, can we bring down to 150 HP? 57 from you is literally going to be 164. Is that enough? Reflex spot? Just barely enough. That was kind of nuts, actually. Let's get rid of bodyguard right now. Draw. Let's keep drawing back into our reap. Still gotta play you though. And I'm really hoping that we can finish this guy off. You're playing a debuff. That's smashing for us. And that's enough Doom. Hell yeah. 2 smacks with Reap into Reperform, and Doom just finishes him off. Combo's there, but at the same time, it's taken a lot to get there going. And as this tier turns into stars, I guess, we're finishing up Act 1. We do have one final choice. A gold card choice. And I'm looking at the card on the right called Domain, which will give us some energy. But it's also another higher cost card, so I don't know how we're going to figure this out just yet. We'll have to figure it out in later acts. But anyways, let's move on to Act 2. But one quick thing before we move on. If you're enjoying this sort of content, make sure to subscribe. It lets me know if you should keep making this sort of content. Anyways, let's get back to it. Act 2 begins with meeting a new character. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. Tez Kitara? Hopefully got that right. Anyways, to give us 3 options. Soup, which is absolutely terrible for us because we don't have any of those cards anymore. The Seal of Gold, which gives us the energy we desperately need, but takes our gold every single turn. Our Pumpkin Candle, which gives us energy, but only for this act. And honestly, I kinda hate this option. So yeah, I'm thinking about taking the Seal of the Gold. Now we just have to be frugal, and that's word of the day. Now for padding, I already forgot that I can draw them up. I was so excited at the start of the video, and I completely just forgot about. But I spent 2.5 minutes debating on which way to go like I was choosing a college course. Eventually I decided that the right side was the right path. It had variety, it had events, and most importantly, it didn't have any shops. I don't want to spend any gold. And in our first hallway fight, I immediately realized how much money we're about to lose. 5 gold every single turn, just gone. So we need to end fights fast. Thankfully, Reap was pretty darn good at that. Oh no! Never mind, next fight would make me look like a fool. We ran into these little bug gobshites that take only 9 damage per hit, basically making Reap worse than a strike. Except strikes are 1 cost. We walk out with only losing 15 gold and 14 HP. Actually, that doesn't sound too good. But honestly, I thought it was going to be worse. And in the reward, we finally take another card. Was it the upgraded Reap? Nah, it was this card called Wisp. A 0 cost gain energy. I thought that could be good for a deck. Next up was a Mystery Room. And this one was actually incredibly interesting. A symbiote offers us Corrupted Power, allowing a Reap to deal 50% more damage, but had to cost it 2 HP every time you use it. I had to take it. Now we're losing gold and health for this Reap deck, but it'll be worth it. We leave Venom behind and head into another hallway fight, excited to test out Reap, and it almost one-shots this big, red monster. Almost. I had to finish off with a strike. But then I see a card in the reward that actually looks nuts for us. We need defense, we need energy, it was perfect, so I had to grab it. And in the next mystery room was kinda lame. It was just a gigantic weird bug thing. Who the hell even put that there? So we smush it anyways, and I try not to use Reap when I don't have to, because I'm trying to save every little bit of HP that we can. And then I took another card. Is something wrong with me? I usually skip these, but it applies vulnerable. And if Reap is dealing 100 damage, it might as well deal even more damage. Then came one of the hardest choices of the run. Greed told me to go left and fight Delete, and Sense told me to go right. And for once, Sense won. So I went to the right, and of course, it's these little beggars again. Every time I dodge Elites into a mystery room, these guys show up, like they're stalking me. We end up squashing one, and we doomed the other to the Shadow Realm. And somehow, our goal is still looking pretty darn good. Slowly losing it, but being around the same. And now, we're back to skipping card rewards. That's more like it. Thankfully, we hit a campsite next. I needed to hit the hay after a long day of fighting bugs and monsters. And after that snooze, it's treasure time. And we got a cracked relic that applies weak at the start of fight. meaning we shouldn't take as much damage, in our first rounds at least. Speaking of taking damage, the next fight against this horny toad, which absolutely obliterated my health, and almost murdered us, leaving us at 12 HP. It was time for another nap. But now we had to face an orderly, and thank God it was Triangle Head. This guy gives an energy back when we do hit them, making this fight easier than the freaking horny toad. But we were still bleeding life every single fight. But I don't know if the game felt bad for us in this moment because it gave us another delay. More block, more energy, and I finally felt like we're getting a bit of hope in this build that we weren't just getting murdered all the time. I should give props to the relic we just got as well. I didn't pay too much attention to it at the time, but it ends up being way more useful than I thought it was going to be, because every tiny bit of HP we can gain back or not lose is going to matter. But there's two more hallway fights before the boss. The first one went smooth. Our new defensive cards are doing work. Plenty block. Hell yeah. The second one, yeah, maybe it didn't go so well. 4 exoskeletons. Now he's thinking, yep, we're doomed. But with slow, methodical turns, we maneuver our way through it. Yeah, those are some big words. We survived with 17 HP, which is way more than expected. I mean, literally, we went in with 16 HP and we came out with a little bit more. And I was thinking this room was doomed when I seen these guys. But it was all thanks to the new relic that we just got. We also got a buffer potion, which I would make fantastic use of that later on. And in our final card reward, wasn't that I wanted, so I skipped it and moved on to our final campsite back 2. But were we actually going to beat this final boss? Because we've been barely surviving every single fight. But hey, let's switch over to live commentary and find out. He's going to give us a choice, and it's going to be a scary choice. And we got our dements, so we're going to get some extra energy every round. That's going to be really, really nice. We also draw an extra card, so we can take the choice where he's going to make us draw less. We want to summon it as well. Do we want to keep our Wisp? Probably, right? Just in case we want to play Reaper Farm at the same time. Draw 1 fewer card each turn. I think that's going to be awesome because we draw an extra anyway. We don't take any of that damage. We got delay into lethality. We probably do want to Seance and get rid of defense. And we could delay again. Just so we get a bunch of energy. Just so we get set up. Because we should have enough with a Reaper Farm right now. I'm going to play a buffer. He's going to be just a block of 8 damage, but I still think it's going to be... I should have played it after this. Yeah, that would be smart. Well, we do want to actually play this so we can start dealing big damage. Immediately lost one thing. I use that for. God damn it, I'm stupid. 11 damage incoming. Got our Wisp. Let's delay. Let's Seance again. We'll get rid of that final strike. Into delay, into bodyguard. Gotta remember that we'll get on season top, but it is what it is. We gotta reap. Let's reap. Let's draw. Wait, we actually killed this guy immediately. What the hell? Isn't that insane? Before we take out this Act boss, they want to show us a picture of their pet slot. And then we doomed him to the Shadow Realm, just like every other monster beforehand. And with that, we're finishing on back 2. We get one final choice, as always. Another gold card choice. But this time, we're looking at Neurosurge, which will give us some energy, some draw, but apply Doom to ourselves. And I think that price was going to be worth the pay. But let's move on to Act 3, where we'll meet Baku, the first demon, with some pretty darn interesting options. One, I was going to turn our whole run into an Autobattler. Well, kind of, because the trade they offered was energy, but they would get to play our first turn for us. I wouldn't mind that. It's not like we're bleeding money, life, and applying Doom to ourselves. But honestly, it was going to be worth it. And now for patting again. I decided the middle route was going to be best for us. But anyways, we do have to hit up a hallway fight first. I was very curious to see what Baku would do with her cards. It turns out they'll play cards from left to right, and if one card is too costly, it will skip that card. This could be a problem, but for now it was fun seeing our turn 1s would play out. We eliminate Cody with a Doom Reap combo, and in the card reward I was shown Light Strike, which looked extremely appealing, as it also applies Doom based on how much damage it deals. So I welcomed it into our deck and moved into the next one, and it was time for Baku to play again. And this time, it looked pretty darn decent. Taking out a Scroll Chomper, but also leaving us with enough defenses that we don't get nibbled on. But it was in this fight that I realized we have some crazy energy generation going on. So in our card ward, we managed to find another domain. Why not lean more into energy generation, right? Then we enter our first mystery room of Act 3, and we get hit with a choice. Draw 2 fewer cards on turn 1 but gain 20 max HP, or take 15 damage for 3 random upgrades. Now health is extremely important to us, because if we get too low we literally can't play Reap, our major source of damage. But I still took the risk. I gambled at 15 HP hoping for something amazing. And we do hit a domain, making it all worth it. In our second mystery room, this one tries to steal our gold, but in exchange we get to peek inside this mystic's ball. We get a potion, we also get another potion, and finally a card. A gold card though. And this card, Eradicate, was extremely tempting. But I'm sticking to Reap and Reperform. I'm gonna be loyal to this combo, even if it's dumb. And our next stop was a campsite, and it was time to heal again, because I wanted to face an elite straight after this campsite. And in this elite fight, it didn't go too well. It looked like we were going to take a heap of damage until I had to use a potion to save some HP. But eventually, Reap and Reperform finish off this ghostly eyeball. The relic they drop? Prayer Wheel. In Act 3. Thanks, game. I'll make good use of this. Probably not. But let's make up for it in our next treasure room. This one actually kind of helps. Festive Popper. It's basically confetti that will hurt people. I'll take it. Now it's time for another leap. Mega Knight steps up to the plate. Vaku blesses us with a good turn 1, enough block to avoid getting that open and hit. But then we had a problem in our final rounds against this guy. We need to defend against 40 damage while waiting for Doom to activate. We managed 25 block, but then I look at OT like, buddy, it's your time to shine. And he takes that hit like a champ. And the relic we got this time was one I haven't seen before, the Vexing Puzzle Box, which adds a random 0 cost attack to her hand at the start of every combat. Yeah, Vaku's gonna go crazy with this. And then in our next mystery room, big ol' surprise, it's a fight. A frog riding a beetle? This might be my favourite enemy so far, but we delete it still. And then we hit a campsite and rest again. And once rested, we head into another hallway fight, with robots that just keep dropping in, and dropping in, and dropping in until finally the last one gets murder faced. But then we have to make our last choice, shop or another fight. Remember though, our seal of gold eats 5 gold every single turn. So should we go to the shop? Absolutely, I'm responsible like that. And it pays off because we got this potion right here called the Duplicator Potion. And this thing will be insane because we can double Reap for double the damage, we could double Reperform to apply crazy Doom, or we could double Domain to get even more crazy energy. So I had to take that. But I also removed the card, leaving us with 105 gold. Did I spend too much? Nah, that's like 20 turns of energy. But then it was time to hit the hay before the Act 3 boss. But instead of healing, I upgraded Domain. But with the other acts we were barely scraping by. With the help of Vaku, we managed to get here. But that doesn't mean we won't be able to beat this boss. Anyways, let's find out. Let's switch back to live commentary. Well, let's see if we can beat this weird rock thing once again. Well, at least we're going to play one of them. We're going to play pretty much our whole hand. We're going to draw the Scourge as well, drawn into another card. Into Neuroscience, and holy moly, this fight's still going. Literally the perfect round 1. We can't say too much about that. Hell yeah, we can't. Now, Duplicator into Reperform. That's gonna be nuts, actually. We want a Lethality, 30 damage incoming. We gotta play you. This is the perfect time for this. And also the perfect time for that. Now, Seance. We're gonna get rid of that Wisp. A Duplicator Potion into the Reperform. I mean, it's gonna be just nasty. That's 203 Doom applied immediately. The only problem is we're gonna lose our Fear. But I don't think that's gonna matter. Yeah, that's gonna matter though. It is what it is. 216 Doom is insane. All we need to do now is draw. Draw a freaking Reap. Apply all this Doom. That was 172 Doom applied from one Reap. That was nuts. We want a Seance. 0 cost. Honestly, just get rid of a delay. Light Strike now applies 30 Doom. Bodyguard into Unleash, into Strike, into Defense, into Delay, into Soul, into Scourge, into Draw again. And what an awesome round. Genuinely, 261 Doom. And all we need is this Reap again. Reap into Reperform, 31 damage. That's enough Doom. Delay, Defense, Bodyguard, Seance away the Light Strike, even though it's amazing. Let's strike an Into Unleash, because then we can draw, and we get a Reap back. I know he's gonna survive. And this guy has a 508 Doom on him. And it's not gonna be close after that. Reap and Reperform, what a freaking combo. What an awesome combo. Not bad at all. Now with that, we're finishing off a run once again. Architect, you killed my parents, you killed my friend, you've killed my life. I did what I must to maintain order. Or toast. But hey, anyways, I'm gonna leave you here for now. Just want to say thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like, comment, or even consider subscribing. And hope you can look up for the next one. I'll see you next time.